All right, so here's the chapter 20 exercises. Are there any questions about the parsing here? Even though the connecting vowels and tense formatives doing wacky things happen, you should still be able to know who's performing the action in most of these cases. Determining whether they're future can be a little tricky. Yeah, let's look at number 2. So this one's oppositae, and this is a situation where the future and the present stems are coming from different roots. And this is where you just got to learn the future as distinct from the present, which is a lexical form. Who remembers what the lexical form of this verb is? It's horao. Okay, horao. And the oppositae form has a sigma hiding in there to tell us that this is what? It's a future. Okay. The tie ending, is that active or middle passive? It's middle passive. So it's third singular in the middle passive. Now let's think about this for a minute. Futures have different middles than passives. Okay. So you can't say future middle passive because the future middle will be different than the future passive. So this is only future middle. You don't know the future passive yet. And it's indicative. And here's the final question. Does this verb in the future have an active formation, or is it a middle only formation? Is it, as Mounce calls it, deponent in the future? It's deponent in the future, or it's middle only in the future. So I'm going to give it an active translation. It's he, she, it will see. Okay, not will be seen, but he, she, or it will see. Okay. Okay, that's a good question. Let's do this. Look at the form in your vocab list. So on page 178, you have horao as third from the bottom, and then he gives you the principal parts. The first form under the gloss I see is what? Opsami. What are you expecting that form to be? You're expecting a sigma omega. In other words, you should be looking for a future active indicative for singular form, like blepso. Luo becomes luso. But here you don't have opso, you have opsami. You have a my ending. And so this is telling you that in the future, active, I don't have an active form, I have a middle form instead. So there, you're going to translate it as if it were active. Okay, but it will have a middle ending.
Is there any way besides the lexical form to know whether or not something will be like deponent in the future?
The only other way to know, right? Because the people who create these little charts have to know. Like, how do they know? Well, they comb through all of Greek literature and they say, okay, every time we see the future form of seeing something, what have we noticed? Especially if there's a direct object. There's a middle form here. Isn't that interesting? So, yeah, someone has to do their homework to do this. So you won't know it up front. You'll know it by looking at your lexicon and your vocab list. All right, that's a good question, though. All right, others? Let's go over a few more exercises. Even if not everybody has questions about this, we can take a look at some other things and scratch you where you itch. Let's take a look at number 1 here real quickly. Number 1, the verb that we're going to parse here is arase. And this is actually coming from a verb whose lexical form is slightly different than what we're seeing here for the root or for the stem. We have the stem R here, and the actual lexical form is airo. So there's an ire stem for the present stem. Clearly, this can't be parsed as a present. Okay. Now over here on the back end, we have the ace, which is clearly the second singular, and it's second singular in the active forms rather than the middle passive forms. All right. So we can go ahead and put future active indicative. But let's talk a little bit about why it is that this form looks the way it does. This is a liquid future. We know that because the root that the future stem is using is R. Rho is a liquid consonant. And so instead of adding a sigma for the future, I have to add the epsilon sigma. And then for second singular, I'm adding ace. And again, as we've discussed from our class time, this intervocalic sigma drops out, and we have epsilon followed by epsilon iota. We get simplification of the epsilons, and then the circumflex here. So, so that is going to be translated future and active. So you will, and then iro is take up. Now, let's look at number 3 here. We have ekbalumen. Ekbalumen. You can say that with me if you'd like. Ekbalumen. And we have the men ending. That is certainly an identifiable personal ending. It is first person plural in the active personal endings. So whatever this is, we know it's going to be active indicative. Now the question is it present or is it future? Take a look at the ekbal that I have here. This comes from a verb that we've learned in this chapter, ekbalo, and the lexical form has the double lambda, ekbalo, and that double lambda indicates that the present stem has a double lambda for ekbal. This has a single lambda, and therefore I'm looking at a different stem than the present stem. So this is going to be future. If you remember, my root is ekbal. The future stem and the root are the same, and that lambda is a liquid, and therefore I'm going to have the epsilon sigma and then the omicron of amen, and I'm going to get the sigma dropping out, and the epsilon omicron will become u. So that's where that contraction comes from. The circumflex also helps me there. Ekbalo is to cast out. So as a future form with first person plural, it's we will cast or throw out. All right. Egerusin, number 4, egerusin. Now here we have the usin ending. We know that's third person plural for the active personal endings. So this is active indicative. Is it present or future? There's the question. Well, what's the lexical form of this verb? If you know your verbs, you know there is an ager, a type of verb, and it's agero, like this. And the present stem has ager with an epsilon iota. Here I have ager with no iota. So this is clearly not the present because it's not using the present stem. This is a future, and it happens to be a liquid future. There's my row, and therefore I have this contraction going on here as well. So agero is to raise, and so egerusin, third person plural, they will, and then raise up, or raise. All right. Apoktaneta. Apoktaneta, number 5. The te ending tells me for sure this is second person plural. This is not a middle passive personal ending in the second person. It's an active personal ending. Is it present or future? Apoktaneta. What is my lexical form? It's apoktano. I'll take a look at that. Apoktano. So my present stem is apoktane. If you look here, I have apokten. No epsilon iota here. So this is not the present stem. This is the future. It's using the real root here, apokten, and the form will then be translated as future. By the way, that is a liquid consonant, that new, and that's why I have the circumflex there, because we got contraction when that epsilon sigma dropped the sigma as an intervocalic sigma. So apoktano is to kill. So this is you, plural, or y'all will kill. Number 6, sose. Sose. We know that this verb, just looking at the sigma and the omega here, is very likely from sozo. Okay, and this is to save. Notice that this form does not have a zeta in it, and that is indicative of the fact that what I have is a future. Now the epsilon iota is characteristic of third person singular in the active personal endings. That's third singular, not third plural. So let's change that. So, and it's not present, it's future. So future active indicative, third person singular. He, she, it will, plural, singular, will save. All right, now let's talk about what happened here. The real root of this verb is sowed, and the future stem is sowed as well. It just takes the real root and uses it for its stem. When I add the sigma of the future tense formative, the delta drops because dentals before sigma fall out, and that's why I have sose instead of sowed say. Number 7, apostole. Apostole. And here I have that same epsilon iota. That's looking like third singular. And if you'll notice, I have a circumflex here. That's going to at least prejudice me to think that this is probably future active as well as a liquid future. Is a lambda a liquid consonant? Absolutely. And next thing I need to ask myself here is what is the present active indicative, the lexical form? It's apostello with the 2 lambdas. Apostello. Double lambda. This has a single lambda here. Clearly that confirms we're not dealing with the present, but a future. All right. And apostello is to send, or send out, send away. The third singular, it's going to be he, she, it again. Will, future, and then send, or send away. Okay, baptises is number 8. There's my epsilon iota followed by a sigma. That is second singular, and I know that's the active second singular. So this is active indicative. Present or future, what do we have? Well, remember the lexical form, which uses the present stem, is baptizo. So I have a zeta here, baptizo, and this is not a, this does not have the present stem. So this can't be the present active indicative. Otherwise it would be baptizes with a zeta. This is clearly a future. Now what do I have going on here? My real root is baptid. Baptid, and the future is using that root. Baptid. And when it does, and I add the sigma to the delta falls out because it's a dental. Okay? So you will baptize. Okay? All right. Now let's take a look at poiusin here for just a moment. The usi ending is our third person plural ending in the active personal ending. So I know I can get most of my parsing done here. Question, is this the present or the future? Well, if you see this circumflex right here, it does look future, doesn't it? But my question then becomes, is this a liquid future? And is it the fact that it's a liquid future where I added an epsilon sigma tense formative and then the sigma intervocalically falls out, causes contraction? Is that what happens here? The answer is no. My actual root is poi, and that is a contract verb with an epsilon contract vowel at the end of it, at the end of the root here. And so this is contracting, but not because of a liquid future problem. It's just contracting because it's a contract verb problem. Okay? So this epsilon is going to contract with usin for our personal ending. So this is actually the present active indicative from poieo. All right. Oops, my accent goes over there. Let's fix that. Okay, now what would the future look like if that's present? If you remember, before I can add my future tense formative, which is the sigma, and then the usi, what do I have to do to a contract vowel? It's got to lengthen. That's right. And so this epsilon will become eta. So the future of poieo in the third person plural would be poie susi. And that will be they will do. This is present, so it's just they do or make. Or I could give it progressive semantics. They are doing or they are making. Now the last verb form here is kreneta. There my te ending tells me this is second plural, and that's for the active personal endings. Question now is it future or present? Look at the situation. I have a nu here, which is a liquid, followed by circumflex indicating possible contraction because of an epsilon sigma having to follow the nu, and then that sigma falling out because it's intervocalic and leaving two vowels to contract. And that's what I've got here. So this would have been kren, s for my future tense formative, and then ete, sigma goes goodbye, epsilon, epsilon, contract to epsilon iota. Kreneta. Kreneta. So clearly a future from kreno. So that is a liquid future. Second plural is you or y'all. We'll go ahead and do y'all here. And then we make it future. Will kreno. What is kreno? It's judge. So you all, you plural, will judge. Okay? So there are our parsings. Let's go on to any questions you might have about the warm-ups. Any quick questions here? Alpha? Okay, so a kanos krene is what? Yeah, that, and there's no noun that this accompanies, so it's that one, right? That one, that person. What gender is this, that one? Yeah, it's masculine because of that omicron for second declension and then sigma. So that one. Some will translate this as he. The demonstrative akanos, often in our English translations, not all the time, but frequently, they do translate akanos sometimes as he. Yeah, that guy. That's good. Yeah, that man, that one. Okay, krene. This is not krene with the accent on the kre, but krene. This is a liquid. So this is probably a liquid future, right? So how would I translate this? Will judge. Auton, him. Ente escate hemera. Notice these are all feminine singular and dative, aren't they? So I'm going to translate this attributively in the last day. In the last day. Okay? Others? Did anybody struggle with delta here? Gnosamitha tain alethean? Yeah? What's the sigma here tell you? It's future. Good. Metha tells you it's first person plural. Okay? And this is from Gnosko. So the future, what would have been the future active indicative if we looked at its principal parts, this is what we would find. We would find gnosamai, where we would expect something like gnoso with an omega ending. It's going to have a middle only ending. Okay? And what that tells us is that in the future, I'm going to use my sci-tai, but I'm going to translate this actively as I will know. In this case, gnosamatha is we will know. Okay? We will know. And then my accusative noun tells me what we will know. We will know the truth. All right? This is not we will be known. For beta, I have paloi gar elusantai epito anamatimu. Now, remember, gar is postpositive, so I need to translate it outside of the clause here at the beginning. So for paloi, many, masculine, plural, and nominative, so I'm going to expect this to be the subject, very likely. For many did something, do something, or will do something. Now, I have elusantai. There's my ntai ending, and that's clearly third person plural in the active personal ending, and that is consistent with having a nominative plural form over here. So many do something. Now, what do I have? I have elusantai. So this elusantai is coming from the verb erchamai. Erchamai and elusantai do not look like they share the same root, and that's because they don't. This future form is coming from a different root that we learned, which is the aluth root, and the sigma is attached to aluth, and the theta drops out before the sigma. So this is many will erchamai, which uses elusamai. So many will come or go, epito anamatimu, and that is, so many will come in my name, or in the basis, or on the basis of my name. Now gamma, we have ento anamatimu daimonia ekbalusen. In the name, this is dative singular, and that's a third declension noun, which is why it has a consonant before the dative singular iota. In the name, whose name? Mu is genitive. In the name of me, which is to say in my name, daimonia ekbalusen. This is from daimonion, and that alpha is telling me this is either nominative or accusative plural neuter. Now, which is it? If we look at ekbalusen, that's from ekbalo. Notice that ekbalo normally has double lambda for the present in the present stem. This has one, and then the contraction over here with the circumflex. That's clearly future active indicative. Usen tells me it's third plural. So the daimonia could be neuter and nominative plural. That could be in my name. Demons were casting out. But of course that doesn't make very good sense here, since demons don't cast out things. Rather, in the Gospels, what we see is that someone casts out demons. And if you remember, neuter plurals in the nominative and accusative are identical. So not only could this be nominative, but this could also be accusative. And it makes sense here to make it the direct object. So in my name, they will cast out demons, where the they who is the subject is probably the apostles or the disciples or the Christians. They will cast out demons. Okay, epsilon. Real quickly, we have ero tape sukemu. Ero here is one of those forms where you just have to memorize the principal part for the future. Now, this is actually coming from Lego, or it's part of the principal parts of Lego. Leg is the present stem, but air is the future stem. The future stem air has a rho at the end of the stem, so that is a liquid consonant. And so I've got this epsilon sigma that would have been added to air, and then the sigma dropped out, and the epsilon and the omega have contracted to the omega. So this is a future form. I will say, te psuke mu, perhaps tu my soul or in my soul, something like that. Zeta, autos, mene, epi ton kosmon, alasumenes es tus ionas. So here is autos, which could be the third person singular personal pronoun, he. And if that's the case, it's going to be he remains. Now, this is the present active indicative, third singular, of meno. The accent is on the me part, meno, menes, mene. So he is staying or abiding, epi ton kosmon, in the world, Allah, but, however, sumenes, this is the second person singular pronoun, you, and that's nominative, so it's going to be the subject of this verb. But notice now, menes, in addition to having a second singular versus a third singular form, the accent has shifted over here, as opposed to being on the epsilon of me. Now this is indicative of a future, a liquid future, where I've had contraction when the intervocalic sigma fell out from epsilon sigma. So this is future active indicative. But you will remain. So this is he remains, but you will remain, es tus ionas, unto the ages, which is a way of saying forever. Finally, let's look at eta here. I have pos, pasas, tas parabolas gnoseste, and then what looks like a semicolon in English, that is a question mark. Okay, so this is creating a yes-no question, I suppose. No, it's not a yes-no question, it's just a question. Pos tells me what the question is. How? Okay, how? Pasas tas parabolas. I have the alpha plus the sigma at the end. Same thing, same thing. These are all related to each other. They belong together because they are governed by the noun parabolas in its case, gender, and number. What is the lexical form of this word? It's parabole. Okay, it's an eta stem in the nominative. It's first declension, and it has gone to alpha along with the sigma. This is accusative plural feminine. Okay, the genitive singular would have been paraboles with an eta sigma. That'd been the feminine singular genitive. So remember, alpha and eta stems always become alpha in the plural, and the sigma of the first declension could not only be genitive singular, but could be accusative plural. So this is going to be the direct object of a verb. So how did or does or will someone do all the parables? Okay, now we just have to figure out what this verb is, gnosiste. This has the root gno, followed by a sigma, connecting vowel, and then the second person plural ending. Now this is a middle passive ending that we're looking at here for ste. All right? So, what am I to make of this? Well, clearly, this comes from the verb gnosko. And since I'm not seeing gnosk as my stem, this can't be the present. This must be a future, and it's middle. I don't want to say future passive now, because in the future middle and the future passive are actually different stems. And what I'm seeing here is the future middle. We don't know the future passive yet. We'll learn that in chapter 24. So this is future middle. Now, how should I translate this? Remember, when I have middle voice, the subject performs the action. And here is y'all. So how y'all, and then this is future, will know. So how will you know? How will you know what? How will you know the parables? Now, Mounce calls this deponent because in the future, where you normally would have an active form, the verb gnosko has a middle form for the future. So in the present tense, it does have an active formation. In the future tense, it only has middle forms, no active forms. But we translate it like it's active. And so Mounce calls that a deponent verb. So how will you plural know all the parables? And the knowing here has to really do with understanding, grasping what's going on with those. Now, let's take a look at some of these other translations. Number 2, we have apostole hahuias tu anthropou tous angelus autou. Apostole. You have to know your lexical form here to be able to decide what tense stem is being used here. Apostello is my lexical form, double lambda in it. This has 1, and what looks like contraction has happened. This is future. Okay? So, the Son of Man will apostello. The Son of Man will send tous angelus autou. Accusative plural masculine, tous angelus, will send the angels. Autou is genitive. So we'll send the angels of him. That is to say, we'll send his angels. So that's the way to translate that. Number 3. Eke auton opsesthe kathos apen hemen. Eke, there. Auton opsesthe. Here I have a form of autos, but it's got the nu at the end. So that's accusative singular and masculine. So it's going to be my direct object. So there somebody will blank him or is blanking him. I've got my verb here and it's opsesthe. Opsesthe. There the sthe is telling me second person plural, and that is in the middle formation. So I got my connecting vowel here, and then I have ops. This is from P sigma. Opsesthe. So that is a future form. And the lexical form of opsesthe is actually horao. This is a situation where the present stem uses a completely different root than the future stem does. All right? And also, opsamai is what would normally be the future active, but in the form that we would expect a future active, Greek only uses a future middle for it. So Mounce would call this deponent in the future, even though it would be active in the present. So we're not going to translate this as if it's passive. We're going to translate it with a kind of active meaning. So there, you all will see, auton, him, kathos, just as, apen humen, just as he said. This is the past tense form of to say in the third singular, just as he said, hemen, to, that's dative plural, and I could have an upsilon or an eta. If I have an upsilon, it's you. If I have an eta, it's us. So remember, if you ever see a you, then it's you. So, just as he said to you. Now, number 4, we have apokrythe Iesus. This is an aorist passive. You don't really know aorist passives, but he's given this to you as a lexical item in your vocab list. And it means answered. Jesus answered, kai apen auto, and said, auto, dative, masculine, singular, said to him, and then this is the beginning of the quote. Eantis agapame, tan lagan mu terese, kai hapater mu agapese autan, kai pras autan elusamatha. So there's the end of the quotation. Eon, if, tis agapame, if someone, that's the indefinite tis, if someone loves me, tan lagan mu terese. If someone loves me, or if anyone loves me, terese, third singular, that's future tense formative. This is from tereo, so my contract vowel has to lengthen before the future tense formative. So this is, if anyone loves me, he will tereo, he will keep. And my direct object is fronted. He will keep the word of me, genitive. That's accusative. So he will keep my word. Kai ha pater mu, that's nominative, and the father of me, my father, agapese, this is agapao. The contract vowel has lengthened before the tense formative. So my father will love. Will love who? Will love him. Who's the him? The one who keeps my word. My father will love him, kai pros auton, and unto him, or to him, elusametha. There's my eluth root, using the sigma of the future. And then the meth is we. Elusamai uses the middle endings, even though it's active in sense. So this is we will, what? We will go or come to him. We will come to him. All right. Number 5. Texatai. Texatai. That almost sounds like Texas, doesn't it? Texatai. So he, she, or it will bear. De is my postpositive conjunction. I'm going to translate it on the outside there. So and or now or but, she will bear. Why am I committing ourselves to she? Well, because women are the subject of a verb like this. She will bear a son, a huion. Kai, kaleses ta'anama autu iesun. And here I have a sigma for the future tense formative, followed by ace, that's second singular, active. Okay? This is future. So this is a future active indicative second singular. You man, or you individual person, will call. And then ta'anama autu, the name of him, genitive case. You will call his name, Yesun, Jesus. My postpositive conjunction, autaskar, for he, nominative case, so it's going to be the subject. He what? What will he do? He will save. So say, that's future. If it weren't future, and if it were present, it would be a form of sods. Okay, but this has that sigma from the root sod that is used for the future stem. So he will save. Tanlan, the people, accusative case. Whose people? Genitive, the people of him. He will save his people. Apaton hamartion auton, from the sins. Now, why is this genitive plural? Because apa requires its object of the preposition to be genitive. So from the sins. From the sins of who? This genitive is telling you whose sins? From the sins of them, or that is from their sins. So he will save his people from their sins. Number 6. A is or. Uk oidate hati hoi hagioi tan kasman krenusen. And look, there's a question mark. Uk oidate hati angelus krenumen. Another question mark. So this is a series of questions. Paul, I believe, is asking these questions. So we need to frame these as questions, not statements of fact. Or, uk oidate, or do you not know? Do you not know what? My hadi clause tells me the content, so I'm going to translate it as that, although hadi could also be causal. Do you not know that hoi hagioi, the holy, plural, right? This is nominative plural, and it's masculine plural nominative. The holy, and then there's no noun that this adjective modifies, because this adjective is substantival. So we're going to translate this as the holy ones, or the saints. Do you not know that the saints, tan kasman krenusen. Here's my verb. This is my subject. I've got accusative case noun here, which is going to be my direct object. The saints are going to do this verb to tan kasman, to the world. What is the verb here? Well, this is from kreno. And kreno normally has an accent on that iota. Kreno, krenes, krene. Notice this is not krenusen with the accent on the iota, but krenusen. Krenusen. Why do I have the accent shifted and why do I have the circumflex here? The reason is that this is a liquid future. The nu is a liquid consonant. So it would have been kren s usen. The intervocalic sigma would fall out, and I'd get contraction here, and that becomes u. Okay, so krenusen. Krenusen. So do you not know that hoi hagioi, the saints, the holy ones, will judge the world? Kai oidate, and again it's a question, so and uk oidate, do you not know? Hati, that, angelus krenumen. Here I have the same sort of situation as the other verb. This is kreno, but with the accent and the circumflex over here. So this is also future, active indicative, first plural now. So he's changed the person from they, third plural, to we. Do you not know that we will judge, accusative, direct object, that we will judge angels? That we will judge angels. Number 7. Pontus pistiususin esautan kai elusantai hoi romaioi kai arusen tantapan hemon. Here I have a form of pas. This is Pontus. Pont is my my stem here, and then I have the epsilon sigma, which is nominative plural, and it's masculine. Remember, my feminine form of all is pasa, which is first declension. This is a third declension form since I've got a consonant before the case ending. And this epsilon sigma is only true of masculine or feminine third declension nouns. Okay? So here it can only be the masculine since the feminine isn't third declension. So all, as the subject, nominative, pistiususin. Here I have pistiu plus a sigma before my connecting vowel and personal ending. So this is future. All will believe. All will believe. Esautan in him. Kai elusantai, same third person plural ending, except here, this one was active. This one here is a passive personal ending. And why is it using that middle passive? Because elusamai uses middle only forms for the future. Okay, and this is from erkatai. That's the lexical form, or erkamai. So this is will go. Who will go? They will go. Who's the they? Here I have the explicit subject, hoi romaioi. And the Romans will go, or come, kai arusen, from iro. Notice my R versus ire. So this is a future that's liquid. And there's my contraction and circumflex. And what will the Romans do? So they will come and they will lift up or take away, tan tapan, the place, accusative direct object. Whose place? The place of, got the eta before the genitive plural. That's ours. Okay, so they will take away our place, the place of us. First person plural genitive. Number 8. Allah array tis. There's my indefinite tis with no accent mark. However, someone array. There's my future active indicative of Lego. Someone will say, pos egerontai hoi necroi. How, here's my nominative case subject, how the dead, that's actually an adjective and it's functioning substantively. So how the dead, egerontai. This is a present active indicative, third person plural. Why am I not going with future here? Well, because the future stem is ager, and notice I have the epsilon iota over here for my stem. So this is from agero with the iota. This is using the present stem, not the future stem. So I'm going to take this as present. Now, I'm sorry, that's not present active. It's present passive indicative. Okay? So how the dead are raised. How are the dead raised? Question. Okay, there's my semicolon that indicates a question. Poyo, in what sort of, here's my postpositive conjunction, so we could say, and in what sort of somati, in what sort of body, erchantai. That's their plural again. Again, erkamai uses middle only forms, and is this present or future? Well, is it using the erk root or the aluth root? It's clearly using the present stem. So this is, again, a present middle indicative. So in what sort of body, erkantai, do they come? In what sort of body do they come? Present tense. Number 9. Lege autu. He says to him. Ek tu stomatasu krenose panere dule. So, this is in the Gospel. I think it's in the Gospel of Luke here. And this is a present active indicative third singular, but people will refer to this as a historical present because even though the present tense is used, it is being used for something that is clearly in the context of past time action. So you could translate this as he said to him. Ek tu stomatasu. Ek is a preposition. It takes its object of the preposition in the genitive case, and that's why tu stomatas is in the genitive, out of the stoma, the mouth. Okay, ta stoma. This is a mot noun. There's really a tau at the end, ta stomat, but the tau falls out because at the end of the word it can't stand. So when I add the genitive case ending, the tau is present. So out of the mouth, this genitive is qualifying whose mouth? Out of the mouth of you. So out of your mouth, krenose. There's a first singular active personal ending, but with a circumflex here, and the accent's on the end. The present is kreno, with the accent on the first vowel, kreno. This is not kreno, but kreno. Clearly, this is a future active indicative for singular, and it's a liquid because of that nu. So I will judge you. Out of your mouth, I will judge you. And then panere dule. That is not a standard case ending in any of the normal 4. This is actually a vocative case ending, and it names the addressee. So out of your mouth, I will judge you, O wicked servant. And finally, number 10, we have diatuta kai he sophia tu theu apend. On account of this, or for this reason, or therefore, also, the wisdom of God said. Apostello, there's apostello with 1 lambda, clearly not the present stem, but this is the future and it's liquid, and that's why I've got this circumflex stressing the final syllable. Apostello, I will send eis autus unto them, accusative plural, masculine. What will I send to them? Prophetas kai apostolus. These are both accusative plural and masculine. Prophetes looks feminine, but that's because it's a first declension masculine noun, and so it's going to look feminine even though it's masculine here. I will send to them prophets and apostles, direct objects. Kai ex auton apok tenusen. Now, he's going to send to them these special people, and it's the them to whom he sends that are going to do this verb. Apoktenusen, that's third person plural. It's from apokten with the stress on the u with the circumflex. Notice that's a new liquid consonant. This is a liquid future. And so they will apokteno. Clearly, apokteno, the present, uses a different stem, a slightly modified stem. Okay? So this is not the present active indicative third plural. It's the future active indicative, and it's liquid. So, and they will kill ex auton. This use of ex here is really being used for the partitive idea. They will kill some of them. They will kill some of them. Okay? So I hope that helps.